Flux right now too, isn't he?
Oh,
Good timing.
you're live. I'm gonna go live on Instagram too.
We're live.
Yep. You're live everywhere.
What time is it?
Early. 1:59. That's two.
Hello, everybody out there, all you Flux heads out there. Come on in, have a seat. I'm gonna play you a few tunes. My thumb's hurting today. I'll explain that someday. But it's May the 29th, 2020. 2020 vision. I'm walking around blind. And 2020 vision is going to give us a lot of information one of these days. We're going to be able to review and figure out what the hell happened. But, yesterday was my birthday. I turned 64 yesterday. I call it my Beatles birthday. But I was having a great birthday. Had a wonderful day. It was beautiful here in Nashville. I'm out in the woods, and my daughter and her grandson and her son, my grandson and my daughter were both here, and there was a nice breeze blowing, and we got to sit around and talk. It was so much fun, and all the kids came over, and we were having such a great time, and all day long. And late last night, I went and turned on the news, and I just thought, oh man, I'm so glad I didn't do this today. This would have just, dampened the whole affair, and we're living in crazy times, folks. We got a pandemic and social unrest, and it's just crazy. We just need to be nice to each other. We need to stop all this bullshit and just be nice to each other. I mean, that love always wins out. So if you can find it in your heart, dig it up, use it. So I'm going to play you a tune now. I have a friend named Cooper Hay, who's a book dealer who has really, really expensive and a lot of books that are first editions, ancient books, rare books. But he has a business in Glasgow, Scotland. Been a great friend of mine since the very first time I was over there. I just walked into his shop one day looking for old books because I love maps. I love old maps. Old maps that are wrong nowadays, but they were right at the time they were made. But I was looking for maps and walked into Cooper's bookstore, and he was nice enough to help me out with a couple of things that he had laying around, and he actually turned me on to a book that he had that was a diary of one of my ancestors, David Douglas, who was a botanist and worked for the Queen, and actually was the guy who discovered the Douglas fir tree. He was in the Northwest, and he was up there, finding all these different species, that people hadn't seen before. He'd never seen before, and he had this diary, and I bought the diary from him, and my ancestor David Douglas, who discovered the fir tree, ended up in the Sandwich Islands, which we now call Hawaii. He died in a cattle pit. Captain Cook brought cattle to Hawaii at some point in around the turn of the 19th century, around 1803 or something like that. I don't know the real date, but there was no way to keep the cattle. There were no fences or anything like that. So if your cattle would wander off, and they dug these pits for the cattle to fall into, and then they could go and get them and bring them out and bring them back to the rest of the herd. Well, poor old David fell into one of those cattle pits, and there was an angry bull in there, and he met his demise. And his body and all of his papers were shipped back to England after that. That was about 1823, 1826, somewhere in there. And this is a nice history lesson anyway you're going to get out of this today. But it took him 100 years to put all these papers together and bind them into a book. And I have it. So thank you, Cooper. But my friend Cooper just lost his oldest friend, Willie, who they met when they were 10 years old. Imagine this now. And they're both in their 70s and creeping up there, and to have a friend like that for 60 some years, it I know it happens all the time, but it's striking home with me today. And so Cooper, hey man, chin up. You'll see Willie again one of these days, and there'll be I'm trying to remember the name of the restaurant that you guys would meet at every day, but that'll happen again, and just remember all the time you had with him, not the time you've lost, but all the time you had with him. And Hamish, thank you for alerting me to all this, and good son there. And okay, segue. Last week I couldn't remember how the Kentucky Waltz went. I remember now. All these people, a lot of you sent in lyrics, and when I saw the lyrics, we were waltzing one night in Kentucky. I went, oh, you idiot. There it is, right? That's all of it. So, the Kentucky Waltz. it was actually that easy.
It was actually the Tennessee Waltz.
Kentucky Waltz. Well, whatever. What was the Tennessee Waltz again? Well, there is no Kentucky Waltz. There's no such thing. Folks, keep your masks, wear your masks. It's not a sign of what political party you belong to. You're wearing a mask to protect somebody in your life, yourself. Maybe you've got a grandmother at home, a grandfather who, like my father, has some problems with his lungs from working in a steel mill for about 40 years. You know, and he can't get this COVID-19. He can't get this. This will kill him. So I wear a mask just in case I run into somebody who's got it. And I wash my hands a lot. I mean, this thing's not over. Why do we need to stop doing all of those things that were keeping this down? So let's do it. It's not a point of pride not to wear a mask. That doesn't make any sense to me at all. And it won't to you either if you really think about it. If you've got somebody you want to keep alive and that stuff's out there and threatening your loved ones, you'll do the thing that you can do to keep them with you, won't you? So wear the mask. No big deal. We all look funny in them. You know, paint it. Put some big teeth on it or something. So I'm going to play you one thing. And this is the last thing on my mind, but the song's called Last Thing on My Mind. And it's nice of you to come back and visit for a few short minutes. My hand hurts, so I'm going to play you one more song. And I really appreciate you showing up, and we'll keep doing this as long as we can. And I just love you guys. Everybody take care. I'll see you next week. bye. We'll see y'all later.
In this one.